So then fam, last night they showed off at 2 o'clock in the morning, my time here in Scotland, PlayStation VR 2. Now admittedly, and this is God's honest, swear on my meat and two veg, or my wee boy's life, whichever you like, I actually was going to make a prediction video predicting pretty much exactly what happened last night, but I didn't, and I should have trusted my instincts, but you live and you learn. Anyway, so we got to see a fair bit about this system, but as much as we did get to see, what we didn't get to see is significant. However, we did get some yummy tech specs. For instance, the resolution is going to be chef's kiss. Basically 4K, I mean obviously split over two eyes, but on OLED screens, not LCD screens, so for screen quality and for energy consumption, which is a good thing, because as I'm sure you know yourselves out there, OLED screens take less power to run, so that's a good thing, better for the environment, yay. Of course, we don't know, the one thing we do know about the PlayStation VR 2 is that it's going to have a singular wire. It's not going to have the rat's nest of cables with the breakout box and the HDMI cable that comes to the PlayStation to the breakout box, and from the breakout box to the telly, you know. And it's not going to have the one USB cable that comes out of the back of the breakout box that goes in the front of the PlayStation. You're not going to need to make use of the camera because it's got own built-in cameras and all the rest of it. So there are advantages going on with this. Now, admittedly, some of the things we don't know the full capabilities of the actual controllers. I forget what the name is for now, but some bright sparkle, type it down below in the comment section, I know you will. I'll remember once the video's finished. Anyway, we don't know the exact specifications. Now, what we have seen is that, you know, one half of the controls is on one stick and one half of the controls is on the other stick. And obviously it's been designed to be sold as a pair. In fact, it'll probably come bundled in the box, which is a good thing. Because as much as I loved my PlayStation moves, and I had them up for all the time that I had them, used to love them with the fight lights out, and put them in my sharpshooter back in the day, and all the rest of it. So I had a lot of fun with PlayStation moves and some move games. I mean, I played like Sorcerer and stuff. It was good fun had with those controllers. But when it came to the PlayStation VR, those controllers were showing their age. They weren't really designed for PlayStation VR, and they kind of felt like they were sort of like added on to save a few quid, and also because it saved a bit on the old R&D. But now we've got these controllers, with their sensing rings and all the rest of it, and what's kind of neat is the rings go round the wrist instead of above the hand. So hopefully that should mean if you're having to swing about a bit, you're going to have less chance of clattering into something because it's a bit more closer to your actual hand, which is nice. However, what we haven't seen is that in a use case scenario, and with a use case scenario, we haven't seen whether or not they've attached a wrist strap to the controller, because the moves had a wrist strap, the Wiimotes had a wrist strap, and it's generally a good idea because sometimes you want to put down the pads but not put down the pads, so sometimes you let the move controllers dangle by the wrist straps while you picked up the controller and did stuff in the menus or whatever, or you wanted to move your headset up and have a wee drink, or have a wee munch of something, and then put your headset back down and then basically feel your way back down the wrist straps and have your controllers back in your hand, and away you go. So I would like to think there's going to be some sort of wrist strap arrangement, but obviously to see that, but that's a tiny little thing. Of course, the headset itself is going to be doing some interesting things. It's got the whole haptic dealy happening actually inside the headset, so you can feel things like environmental rumble and stuff, and things things that will actually make you feel more immersed in the game. Now, for some people might not dig that, so I'd like to hope that there'd be a means for turning it on or off, or even having differing settings of how much that happens, much like it is with the DualSense itself. You can set in the settings how much feedback there is, so you can set it to high, medium, or none at all. So that would be lovely if they could do that for the headset, and I imagine they'll probably also do it for the two controllers. Now, the controllers themselves, we've seen them only in black, which is nice because, let's face it, we all love black controllers. I mean, I love the fact that my controller's now black, you know, since I had to replace my white one because the R3 decided to jam. But that's cool, I've got the black one now. So does that mean that the PSVR 2 is black, completely black? Or will it have white accents? Because PSVR 1 was primarily white with black accents and blue lighting, you know, which matched the aim controller, and you know, but it didn't match the PlayStation. Obviously, the PlayStation 4, you know, was all black. You know, most models of it, you know, whether it was the launch model or the Pro model or the Slim model that then became the de facto PlayStation. You know, once they stopped having it designated as Slim. So there was a white VR helmet and a black system. Now we have a white system. Will we have a black helmet, or will that be white as well with black accents? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's just an interesting thought to think about. The aesthetics of the bit of kit. How big will it be on our heads? How heavy will it be? How will it sit on our heads? Will it have a similar arrangement with the tightening strap and pull back and forward? And will there be a more sort of, you know, involved focusing mechanism? Because with the PSVR, the way you focused it was you sort of brought it down, you sort of angled it around about a bit. You also fiddled the rings inside, those focusing rings, like with any VR helmet. Even back to the first VR helmet I wore in the 90s, you know. It's like your boy's been doing VR a while. Okay, so hopefully there'll be a bit more discrimination with focusing settings. They might even have a bit where you could have different focusing settings if there's more than one player of the bit of kit in your house. Let's say you know, it's a shared flat and you've all pumped in together for a PlayStation 5, and then you decide to all pump in together to get a PSVR. It would be nice as the different persons who play with their different profiles, if it could remember different eye settings for different people's different eyesights. That would be lovely. So yeah, there's lots of things that could definitely be done, and also with the inside-out tracking, which means you don't need the camera. I mean, I have the camera because that's how you're seeing me right now, but technically speaking, it doesn't use an outside camera like the PlayStation VR 1 had. You know, when you bought the PlayStation camera, which is how I used to make the videos on PlayStation 4, but now they're on PlayStation 5, I hope. So you had the camera up there, and that had the two lenses, and it was like shooting you in stereoscopic, and it was picking up on the blue lights, you know, made from the helmet, you know, the ones here and here, and the one on the back, the ones on the back and stuff. So that's how it was actually doing the tracking. It was doing the tracking by light. This new one is basically going to do its own tracking by seeing its own position in the room. So it was basically able to map the room and track its own position. And apparently, allegedly, it might be able to actually figure out its own game area, so it will know whether or not you're getting a bit too close to your coffee table, or you're getting a bit too close to the couch or whatever. You know, and it will sort of like gently nudge you the other way. It might even, apparently, it'll even break the game open a little bit and have a little black and white screen sort of embedded in the game imagery. It says, "Whoops, you're nearly falling over the cat there, pal." You know, these are all possibilities, and I'm liking where a lot of this is going. One of the things I do want to know, however, is with the aesthetics of the VR unit. A lot of you may or may not know this, but the PlayStation VR, right, was designed with the headsets in mind. So if you bought the platinum headset that I had, right, and still have, I'm still waiting to sell it, but COVID's kind of not letting me do that, because apparently if you have something that you wear on your head, you can't be selling it because it's not COVID safe. it's cleaned down and not been touched in months. But hey ho, get your jabs, people. Anyway, right. But basically the PlayStation VR was designed in such a way where you could comfortably wear the Platinum headset over the top of the PlayStation VR, and it would sit, so the ear cups would be just under the frame, and it all molded together quite nicely. So hopefully it's very much the case that this headset will marry up with the VR headset, unless it comes with its own headphones, and maybe the headphones it'll come with will be these headphones, but not on this headphone bar. So perhaps it'll be the same capabilities as this headset, but just this headset molded into the frame of the PlayStation VR 2. Possibly. Who knows? Not I. I'm merely a little tiny person on YouTube. I am a minnow channel, and I can only grow with your help. Anyway, so another thing we need to know is, will it backwards compat to PlayStation 1 PSVR games? So PSVR 1 games can be played on PSVR 2. That would be a major step forward, because 1, instantly out the gate with a big library. 2, that means that there'll be a lot of second-hand VR games on the market you could snap up and have them up-resed. Woohoo! You'll be able to play those games much better because those new controllers will be much better, obviously, than PlayStation Move controllers. The other question is, if you bought an AIM controller, like I did, will it work with PSVR 2, considering that the camera that we have is not used for tracking, and the only way you use the tracking on PlayStation 5 for PSVR was by having the dongle, so you could connect your PlayStation 4 camera to your PlayStation 5. So are they going to have to rejig the aim gun so that it can work with the PlayStation 5, or are they going to have to add some sort of firmware to the camera software so that it can see the aim controller for games like Bravo Squad, whatever that one was with the spider aliens. Oh, I forget the name yet. Right, creepy game too. But yeah, there's a number of gun-ish games on the PSVR, So those games are going to move forward to PlayStation VR 2. There's going to need to be some form of integration that allows it to be seen. Perhaps the light on the end, and obviously the accelerometers within it, because it's basically just a Move controller, just in a different shell. Perhaps if those accelerometers and move ball on the end talk to the inside-out tracking cameras on the body of the PlayStation VR 2, maybe that's how they do it. Like I said, I don't know. Of course, the other things we don't know is pricing. Now, the PlayStation VR came out, in this country at least, at 350 quid. And would it do that again? Who's to say? I mean, let's face it, the stakes have been raised technology-wise. Not just in the display inside the headset, and probably not just the audio quality of the headset, but the fact that it's going to have a lot more technical gubbins. It's coming with the controllers, probably, I can't see how it wouldn't. And although same with Nintendo and Sony, they do make some bonehead moves. But anyway, so it comes with the controllers. It's got all the tech specs. That actually, as far as the technical specifications go, it puts it right smack between the two best-selling units on the market right now. So whatever the two best-selling units are, I think it's like the Quest and the Metaverse VR, whatever they call it, the Oculus Meta or whatever it is. So it's basically, its specs land it right between the two best-selling, two most techy units right now. I mean, with its screen tech and all the rest of it, and its frame rate, so it's looking good for that. So hopefully it won't be too expensive. In fact, if anything, I'd like to hope that it'll come out for, say, about 400 quid. you know. I mean, considering that like what we had to pay for PlayStation 5, I don't think we want to be paying that again. However, with that, it's definitely not coming out this year. It's probably, at earliest, in my estimation, and I'll bet if I'm wrong, I'll put my hand up to it. If I'm wrong at that time, and it comes out before that time, you are quite within your rights to go type it in that comment section, go, "Same bloke, you were wrong!" And I'll put my hand up and go, I was wrong. But I personally believe, at very least, mid-2023 is when we might see the PlayStation VR 2. And if we do, woohoo! However, there are some things to bear in mind. I mean, obviously, like I say, the price, the power requirements, the space requirements, you know, the release time, you know, is like obviously the thing, the price is the thing, you know. Obviously, they'll have to be look at to see how safe it is for younger users, because kids are going to get it, because we were all told that nobody under the age of 12 should play on a PlayStation VR, although how many times did you see online or at gaming conventions you saw kids under 12 playing on the PlayStation VR? Far too many. So there are a great many questions, but one of the nice things that we can know right now about PlayStation VR 2 is a lot of the tech inside has already been developed and tested backwards, forwards, upright, left and down by other companies. So basically all Sony have to do is they basically go, wow, we'll have a bit of that, we'll have a bit of that, we'll have a big chunk of that, we'll have another that, and they basically bring out a system where they know everything's working, everything's tested, and then they bring their own magic, because let's face it, so that's part of what Sony do. They always come along and they perfect the tech. You know, they always make things better. I mean, look at the original controller for the first PlayStation, and then they had the one that came along with sticks. Then they had one that came along with sticks and a rumble, and then they had, you know, by the time we got to PlayStation 4, that gamepad was amazing. I still love it now, but now we have DualSense. The DualSense, and the DualSense is like, honest to God, it is the best controller I've ever held, ever in my life, and I don't know how they'll ever top it. You know, I mean, obviously better battery life and stuff, and maybe a couple of years will do a next gen version of it in like a pro model or something with a better battery life and faster responsive keys and stuff, but right now it is an incredible controller, and I think the new VR controllers will be just as incredible. The one thing we don't know is we've all seen that touch tech stuff, you know, where it's like you've seen like the computer generated hand, and you do that, and the computer generated hand does that, and it basically is able to sense the movement of fingers and actually is able to tell how hard you're gripping and stuff. Does that mean that that central control stick portion is that kind of squishy? Because the original videos we saw back in the day, they were squishy as well. Does that mean that controller is kind of squishy? Does that then mean we're going to have some sort of cleaning fluid for it, because it's going to spend a lot of time in the hands, and if it's going to be squishy, that means it's probably a slightly porous material, which means it's going to require cleaning because of a little bacterial buildup. I mean, we all saw what happened on the back of our white DualSenses. Ew! That's why I always had a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on call, and I regularly cleaned the underside of my DualSense, because yuck. There's just build-up of hand oils and stuff, but you know, it doesn't look nice. And that's one of the problems with white tech. White tech gets dirty quick. As a lot of you PlayStation 5 owners know. I never understand why they made the system white, but then again, it does look lovely, so yeah, what are you gonna do? So yeah, let's see. So we've gone through wrist straps, we've gone through the headset, we've gone through the cameras, we've gone through the price, we've gone through the possible release time frame, we've gone through the possibilities of the haptics, we've spoken about the resolution, stuff like the full V8 rendering, which is a lovely tech. If you don't know, and probably do by this point, but if you don't, full V8 rating is basically if you're looking at stuff in the game, there's like say like I'm looking at my hand in virtual reality, okay? My hand will be beautiful textures, full on render, right? But all the stuff that surrounds me will be rendered less, because this is what I'm focusing on, because it's got eye tracking. So you've got the eye tracking stuff that's basically it knows where you're looking, so it makes what you're looking at look nicer, and the stuff you're not looking at look not as good, because you're not looking at it. Now, as soon as you change to begin to look at it, then it starts to up-res it, and so by the time you've landed your eyes upon it, it's rested full, and all the other stuff isn't, because it's not needed. Very clever stuff, which does make me wonder, will there be possibility later down the way for it to begin to read more of your face? Will it begin to employ the camera so that it looks at the rest of your face? So then your facial expressions, your emotional content will impact the games you're playing. Could this even be, part of how you control and interact with others on maybe a bring back of PlayStation Home on PlayStation 5 with PSVR 2? There's just delightful possibilities. I mean, yes, I am one of those that played PlayStation Home and loved it and missed it. In fact, there's old videos back in the annals of this channel where I'm going, they're taking home away. Oh man, I miss home. But anyway, there's so many great possibilities, with digital presence and stuff. Perhaps now we can actually get to a point where you don't need to worry about never being able to go to something like E3 or Gamescom. Maybe right now, thanks to PSVR 2, we'll be able to actually do telepresence, be there virtually. Because, there'll be drones going around or something, and maybe 50 users to a drone. The drone will take a set path and probably do it on user votes to take the thing either left or right or whatever, and you could just go around conventions looking at stuff, maybe even bump into another drone and say hello to another bunch of people and behind that drone. There's just endless possibilities, and I'm loving where this is going. There's some great things happening in gaming right now. Now that we're basically living in the future. I mean, it's 2022. I mean, I lived through my teenage years going, wow man, imagine when it's the year 2000, the things we'll be able to do, the stuff we'll see. I mean, I've been absolutely expected right now to be riding around on a hoverboard. Didn't happen. There's still no hoverboards yet. And no, those three hands with the wheels on either side, that's no hoverboard, because it's in contact with the ground. If it's no floating off the ground, it's no hoverboard. But I digress. Right, so many possibilities. We don't know colour, we know some of the specs, we don't know its full capabilities as to what it can and cannot do. We don't know its price. We only know that it's probably going to be awesome. We know its name. It's it's nice to know that they just went a very simple naming convention, just PSVR 2. They didn't call it some fancy name. They didn't try to get all Greek or Roman or or something even worse, made up. They just kept it simple, which is entirely what I was wanting. I think it's what many of us are wanting. And now we just have little trailers every once in a while showing us clever things that it's going to be able to do, and they're basically just going to keep on tempting us, and hopefully I'll have enough time to actually get the money together, or the unit. Anyway, I've rattled on for a better part of half an hour, so it's probably time that I get off this video and let you back to what you were doing. Thank you for paying attention to me for nearly half an hour. I'm gonna love you and leave you, so you know the drill. Hashtag Sports Scottish YouTubers. And of course, as always, aye, no bother.